Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. We're recording this on Monday morning, not our usual Sunday evening, because what was going on, Alan, yesterday?
What do you mean, what was going on, Gaz?
Do you have a little party or something?
No, just a little gathering with a couple of friends, yeah. Watched the games, though.
A gathering, and we weren't invited.
Well, I said friends, didn't I?
How was your weekend, Micah?
It was fantastic. Yeah. Super Sunday, derby. What more could you possibly want?
Well, if you're a Manchester United fan, probably something completely different. It was a great weekend of football, actually. And we've got to start with the Manchester derby. Micah, you were there.
Yeah.
We were watching at home. And was it as good as it appeared from actually being there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can always see the game a little bit differently at the stadium. I think sometimes having that bird's eye view, when you got the tactical aspect of it, you can see it a little bit better. And I have to give a lot of credit to Man United first and foremost. And a lot of people say, look at the stats. And this is why sometimes I don't always like stats, because you look at the stats and think Man City battered them. And if you look at the overall game, they did in terms of quality. But over the last couple of weeks, a lot of people have questioned Man United and what are they? And yes, it's probably a little bit easier to do it when you're up against a better team. You can be a little bit more organised, well drilled. But I thought they had a very good plan in terms of sitting in low block and then at every opportunity try and hit Man City on a counter-attack. And they did exactly what Chelsea did. And at times, on a different day, they could have had more joy. But in the end, Man City, with the quality with Foden and Rodri, Bernardo Silva.
Were you ever worried?
At half-time, I think the last time Man City didn't score at home was against Crystal Palace a couple of seasons ago. Or it might be longer than that. So I always knew Man City were going to score at some stage. But did I think they would win? I was a bit nervous for that, if I was being totally honest. Yeah, I just thought...
There was never any part of me that was ever thought anything other than a Man City win.
Having said that, it's the first time in 9 years in the Premier League that United have given up a lead at half-time to go on to lose. I think it's fascinating when you talk about United there, and tactically they could be organised and form a low block. It just shows you the difference between the two clubs now, that the best chance Manchester United have got is just trying to sit and hit them on the counter-attack and hope.
It's madness, isn't it, really? I'm giving praise to Man United for basically playing defensively
Trying to hang on.
In the first half of the game. How times have changed. But I think it's always good to give a little bit of context into where Man United have been this season. Obviously, they did really well last season, finishing third and looking like they was on the right way. But this season tailed off a little bit. But I just thought yesterday there were signs of, okay, we know how they're going to set up and what they're going to do. I think on the ball, though, that is where there was a real lack in quality. So when they got in certain positions, it's almost like they were so tired when they got the ball back, they just rushed the pass. It was a sloppy pass or it was a bad touch. And I think that's the next step for them. They need to do that better.
How many Man United players will get into the Manchester City team?
None. Not one of them would.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how it's turned around from the days when Manchester United were dominant and Manchester City suddenly started becoming, what's he call them, the noisy neighbours, Alex Ferguson. And it's kind of role reversal now, Alan.
No, absolutely. I don't think any of them would get in there. Man City are a quality team. They've got a great manager. They've got a system that they know works. They've got fantastic players that are suited to every position. Pep's made every single one of them better. So yeah, that's why I just thought yesterday, I mean, you've got to have the right attitude. You can't just turn up and expect to win. But it was only a matter of time before they scored, and then once they got one, I thought they'll definitely go on and win it. They're a great team. They're a brilliant team to watch.
Oh, they really are. They're relentless, aren't they, as well, really? Just keep going and going. And Man United, I mean, hardly got out their own half. And everything, the possession, the shots, the expected goals, whatever you want to call them, were completely dominant, I felt, right. Apart from perhaps the first, few minutes and that wonder goal from Marcus Rashford, which came from nowhere. Let's talk about Phil Foden because, I mean, I think he's really come of age this season. I mean, he's been brilliant for years, and his talent was there for all to see. But he really is realising that talent. Pep's bringing out, the best in him, which is good for English football. He's becoming a superstar.
Yeah, he is. I mean, do you know? I think his belief now that he's got everything to be one of the world's best. He's not far away, by the way. I don't think he's now got Pep's belief, which I think was hugely important to him mentally. I mean, when you hear Pep going on to talk about him after the game, and rightly so, he's just an unbelievable talent, and he is integral to what England will do, hopefully, this summer.
It was strange because there was a question on Sky and he asked him about now this world-class player, and he wouldn't sort of bite on the world-class, but on the BBC interview I saw, he basically said he's the best player in the Premier League. It must mean on form. So, and it's very, I won't say it's very difficult, but it's sometimes Pep always wants to play things down a little bit. So to give the player that confidence and say he's one of the best in the league right now, it's just amazing. And Phil Foden, we've talked about it many times before. I think when he's played for England before, we've not been totally convinced within the system, but now you've just got to find a spot for him. I said yesterday as well, it's difficult when Bellingham's playing in that number 10 role. And as long as they can rotate, you see, one of his goals was from the left, one of his goals was from the right. So he doesn't need to always be in that central position. As long as he can be fluid, we see the damage he can do.
Well, what we're seeing is maturing into the player that he is. I mean, he's still only 23, He's been around for that long. And but he just continues to improve every single season. And what a wonderful work ethic as well. I mean, he chases back, he presses really, really aggressively. His all-round talent, his danger. He can take the ball on the half turn. He can turn one way and the other. He can go past people with pace and with skill. He's got a great passing range. He can score goals. I mean, that world-class thing is always people. But how do you judge what is world-class? I've always said, well, if there was a squad from the world at the present time, any present time, and you're in it. So I would say that's the top 22 players in the world. If you had a World Cup and one team was the rest of the world, I think that's perhaps the best way to judge it. So
he would get in it.
I would think he'd get in it at the moment.
Definitely.
I think to be, entirely a world-class football in general, you need to do that over a sustained period. But I think he has really. I think he's gradually just got better and better and better, as you should do at that age if you've got the right attitude and the right coaching and things go well for you. I think he's a remarkable talent. I've loved watching him ever since we saw him in his very early days, particularly with that. He was kind of the main man, wasn't he, when England won the World Cup under, what was it, under 17s?
Under 17s, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was under 17s, and he's such a great footballer. It's so exciting for England, isn't it? Mikey, you talked about whether Bellingham will play in the 10 or whether he'll play in the 10, but he could play on the left, he could play on the right. Obviously, we've got Saka as well, who's another wonderfully gifted footballer. There are so many options, aren't there? Midfield, you've got, obviously Bellingham can play in any of the roles you want him to play in. Trent Alexander-Arnold could come in there. There are so many players that it's a I wouldn't describe it as a problem for Gareth Southgate.
We're winning the Euros, lads. England are winning the Euros.
I'm telling you now, I don't mean to be, I'll put a dampener on things, but with two players, not short of winning it, but you've got world-class talent in every other position. So I'll say left centre-half, and I will say holding midfield. So we've got Rice, but Gareth likes to play with two. And yes, you're going to say to me, Trent can play in there, but he's not a proven midfield player. He's a world-class right back, and so is Kyle Walker. So it's just finding the balance. And you don't need 11 world-class players to win a tournament, of course not, but just some areas worries me a little bit.
Every team ever in international level has always had the odd slight concern. I think the central defensive position has been an interesting one for quite some time. But you look now with, the likes of Branthwaite, the likes of Colwell, and one of Gahey, obviously, as well.
They're just a little bit too early for them.
I know, but it is encouraging, because if it's 2 years ago, you're going, crikey, where are the central defenders of the future? I think every team's going to have that. Even the great French team we've got now, have won the World Cup a few years ago, got beaten the final, obviously, in the last World Cup. They've not really got a striker at the moment. I mean, they got Mbappe, but he's obviously plays on the left for them. But Giroud's now must be 37 now, probably. So even all sides really, and apart from probably the only time you look back at. In European teams, the great international sides, probably the Spanish team of around that 2008, 10, 12 period when they won 3 on the bounce. That's one of the few teams I can think of without a general weakness, because you need to be incredibly fortunate to have.
I think you're looking for perfection, aren't you? You're looking for perfection. I agree what you're saying about England, but I also look at the other. Who's going to be the other favourites? France, absolutely. Portugal.
Yeah, Spain.
They're not perfection either. So
no, they're not. They haven't really got a proper goal scorer at the moment, I would say.
I would agree. So yeah. Don't listen to Micah putting a damper on it.
Hey, when we're doing it, when we go to the Euros, and you're all, saying it's coming home, and I'm just there and just being.
We need to get rid of that. It's just been that coming home nonsense, because it's just. I think it's jinxed us for too long now, even though it's always tongue in cheek. And it's funny, isn't it? Because most you get a lot of stuff on social media and stuff from people outside of England, and saying, coming home, they're so arrogant. They all think but what they don't realise is that song. It's just about self-deprecation and the fact we're having a pop at ourselves, because the fact we've not won it for so long. I want to talk about Haaland's miss.
Oh my word!
So there's a human being in there, you see, somewhere. It was one of the. You could see his face thinking, "How have I missed that?"
Yeah, but we go on about it, don't we? What's the worst miss you've ever had? We've missed absolute sitters, so it happens. If you keep getting in there so many times, you're gonna miss one absolute sitter, aren't you? So, and I mean, I did have a little chuckle. I don't know how we missed it, to be honest. It was like, oh my word!
Was he stuck in two minds? Did he want to He was going to head it first, and then it was at a weird height.
He should have headed it. It was unmissable if you head it.
Yes, correct.
Just stoop down, unmissable if you head it. But even Pep was going, what happened? But he got his customary goal at the end, though, didn't he? It was another cool finish on. Once he's coming in on that left foot, he very rarely misses.
Yeah, he guided it into the corner, didn't he? You could see the relief, couldn't you, when he saw it hit the back of the net? You just felt, relief, definitely.
Big game next week.
Oh,
Man City, Liverpool.
I just think, though, are Liverpool going to have all their players back? Obviously, they've managed to do so well within the cup that we talked about, and managed to get that late winner just to give him confidence with Nunez. But
is it at Anfield? Or was it
it's at Anfield, yeah.
Yes, that's massive. Liverpool got quite a few players still out there, haven't they? So
that is the thing. But momentum, you never know. Anfield's a tough place to go, isn't it? Crowd.
They got a bit lucky on Saturday. Alan was in with me at Match of the Day.
Yeah, I watched it.
It was 99th minute. And Nunez got a vital goal for him. I mean, he does get in there. He made a difference when he came on. And obviously, it's a very young Liverpool side again. They had a lot of chances. Forest had chances too. I thought they played well. But the big talking point, obviously, was the decision by Paul Tierney in terms of giving the ball to Liverpool instead of Forest when there was a break in play because of the head injury. He definitely got that wrong. I know it was still a minute and a half, a couple of minutes until Liverpool got their winner, and things could have been different if Forest had kept the ball better. But they would have been in that top corner with the ball, and everything, of course, would have been different.
I know, for all the people out there on social media who are saying, well, Liverpool had a similar one, or Forest had a similar one in the first half, and no, it wasn't. It was totally different. Forest had the ball, they touched it in their box, so that means an unchallenged drop ball goes back to their goalkeeper. The referee got that one right. I've just replied to someone on social media with a clown emoji.
Did you? Oh, you
Honestly.
do get a few.
Oh, God.
Because I think that's happened because Klopp said it after the game in the press conference. I think he said something like, well, it happened in the first half, so why he's made the same decision late on. There are different laws, aren't there, surrounding whether if it's in the area when something like that happens.
Yeah, Paul Tierney dropped an absolute clanger. It was a terrible error. It should have been a Forest unchallenged drop ball near the touchline. Hudson-Odoi had the ball, and he just got it wrong. I mean, and I get the time thing that it was a minute and 50 seconds later that Liverpool scored, but they might not have been down that end. They might not have had the corner that led to the goal. I know Forest messed up trying to dribble the ball out. That was a mistake as well, but it was an awful error from the referee. Great credit to Liverpool for keep on going again. I mean, last minute. I mean, they've just got this belief, haven't they, and momentum that you can see it even with injuries. You just think, wow, they've got the belief that they're going to have one incredible season and give Jurgen an incredible send-off. So it's all adding up to a great title race, isn't it?
It is.
Oh yeah.
Just on that point, obviously, that game. What do you feel about Mark Clattenburg's role for this sort of consultant? I mean, I like him. I've done work with him before. I think he speaks well. I think he explains decisions really
Look at
well.
Alan's face.
But how I don't. What is this role all about? Gaz, you're the best one at explaining this. So, obviously, they've brought someone in as a consultant to explain to them the decisions that are being given against their team in Nottingham Forest. Is this the first time this has ever happened in your tenure at the BBC?
I think it's the first time I can recall the club actually hiring a referee just to explain decisions that go on. I mean, I think by and large, yes, some footballers don't understand all the laws, and there are a lot of laws these days because they've ended up making the game incredibly complicated because we've allowed referees to define the laws rather than just act them out on the pitch, which I think has been a huge mistake, which we've seen. But hiring it's the next step, I suppose. It became a set piece coaches, didn't we? And everyone. Then it was someone a throw-ins coach, which I understand. It's those tiny margins that they talk about. I don't see what the referee thing will help. I mean, maybe you could explain some of the laws to the players if they get a decision goes the wrong way. I don't know how that helps you in any way, shape, or form. I think maybe whoever employs the people that saw Mark Clattenburg on Gladiators and thought this is the man for us.
Oh my God. Honestly.
Maybe you can bring some of their training sessions into the training of the Gladiators do.
I'm like you, Micah. He's a good lad.
I've heard they're going to hire Bradley Walsh in case they ever have a quiz.
But the reason, on a more serious note, the reason I asked, and obviously answered it very well, is because his statement was the first thing to come up on Sky Sports News. I think BBC did an article on it as well. So he's like the spokesperson, which is pretty ridiculous, really, because surely it should be the club. It's not Mark Clattenburg's opinion of the situation. It's just all bizarre.
He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And he's very down to earth. He's normal. What the fuck is going on here, man? Seriously. What? Referees, analyst, or whatever you want to call him. If you ever wanted to know how bonkers that football club is, then there's the answer for you. Goodness me, come on.
Arsenal play tonight because we're doing this Monday morning, as I said earlier. So, and against Sheffield United, you'd expect them to win that. This title race is really hotting up, isn't it? And that would be a massive game at Anfield next week.
Wow, what a game.
If either side wins that particular game, it would go massively in their favour, wouldn't it, heading towards the end of the season? But my tip's Arsenal at the start of the season. Mm-hmm. I know you two both tipped Manchester City predictably. But I think it could be really tight between the three, couldn't it?
I think it's going all the way. It's going to be brilliant all the way from now. We'll speak about this every single week. There's going to be little twists and turns as there normally is, but it's brilliant that we've got three teams rather than one just running away with it.
It's too close to call. I think Liverpool are in a good position, but it's the injuries. Arsenal are playing well. I think Man City have still got another gear to go.
Well, if they've got another gear to go after yesterday's performance,
says the Man City ambassador.
Dear.
It's good. It's going all the way. It's exciting for us anyway, at least.
Let's talk about the team in fourth position. Aston Villa. Playing well. I wanted to get this into the first half because we spent a bit of time talking about England's possible starting lineup or squad, certainly for the Euros. And I'm obviously kind of steering my way towards Ollie Watkins here. Another 2 goals, incredibly consistent season. I think it's 16 goals in the league and about 10 assists now. Which is brilliant from him. Continues to improve. He's in his prime now, isn't he? He's 28, I think. And I think people are talking about, has he played himself in the squad? And you said it on Match of the Day on Saturday night, Alan, didn't you? You said he's not, not only that, he's got his boarding pass, he's on the plane, he's got his bags packed and all that sort of stuff. And absolutely, totally concur with that. But I think it's perhaps a bit more than that. I think what it does, which I sort of said as well on Saturday night, is that you'd be worried, wouldn't you, if anything happened to Harry Kane normally? And you still would be, because obviously he's a great player. But I think what's happening with the emergence of Ollie Watkins, and I think he's been consistent and getting better and better, is that Gareth has another option up front, particularly if something happened to Harry, whereas you wouldn't actually go, well, that's England's chance, he's gone. Because he does actually offer things that Harry doesn't give you. He plays much higher up the pitch and he looks to get behind defenders, which Harry doesn't do that often. Harry likes to drop deep, and obviously that brilliant passing game he's got. He holds it up reasonably well, but he also gives you an energy and a higher press than you could probably get with Harry Kane. So I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that he'll start ahead of Harry, of course not. But what I'm saying is that if anything did happen to Harry, you've got a really, really sound replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having the season of his life. He looks fantastic. I mean, he's finishing. You just said it, his ability to run in behind. He's non-stop. He's a nightmare for defenders. I mean, he gave them a torrid time, particularly the first half, because of his ability to run in behind. And they just couldn't cope with that. And a defender hates you running that way, where he has to turn and run towards his own goal. And he absolutely battered them at the weekend. A couple of goals. Yeah, his all-round game's superb. And you're right, no need to worry, excuse me, at all, I don't think, if Harry were to get injured, because such is the belief and the confidence. I mean, Unai Emery's bringing the best out of him. You've got to give great credit to him for spotting that. I think what he's done to him is he's just said, I want you playing in between the width of the 18-yard box. I don't want you running outside the width of the... all right, it might happen now and again, but you just focus your game on being in and around the middle, and we'll do the rest for you. And he's it looks as if he's loving life. And yeah, great credit to him and to Emery for getting the best out of him.
Can you remember when I first came into telly, Alan? I did an analysis on you.
Yeah.
And said you need to stay more between.
I remember that. Yeah. Good advice, guys.
There you go. I made you.
It's not fucking rocket science, though, is it?
No, it's not. That's why when it's presenting, I'm the shit pundit.
Oh, brilliant.
What were you saying, Micah?
No, I thought it was a bit of a dig, to be honest. I thought he was having a little bit of a dig. You know, when them bitter old pros, they got this young talent coming through. He's just trying to put you back in your box. That's the way I read it, Alan, but hey.
You were only about 12 then. I was just offering my advice as a seasoned striker and wanting to get the best out of this young emerging talent that I obviously saw.
Yeah. Good advice, guys. It was good advice.
Yeah. There you go. Villa Tottenham next week as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a cracking game, that as well, isn't it? It's weird because certain teams you watch and they're going a goal down, and then you're thinking, how they're going to turn it round. And then obviously Spurs have got Son back now from the Asian Cup, playing well. Brennan Johnson making a difference in games as well. But then Villa, I don't know how to call that one because they're both equally as impressive.
And what I'd say it'd be the battle of the high lines, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There's going to be a few hamstring injuries in that one.
Over the top, chasing.
Over the top.
Get over.
Yeah.
Spinning behind. You'd fancy there being a few goals, the way they both go about. It'd be very entertaining. I mean, there's talk about obviously the top four for the Champions League, but don't forget there is a possibility of fifth place also qualifying for the Champions League next season under the new format, and there'll be two sides in Europe that will get 5 clubs. At the moment, we're just outside of that, but it's the tiny margins, and it's done on all whatever they call it, coefficient or something in terms. So a lot will depend on how our clubs do in Europe for the remainder of this season. It might just edge. I think it's...
Well, Newcastle have let us down to start with.
Ooh, hey. Come on.
I'm only joking, the Geordies. I love you.
Pile on to Micah, Geordies.
Pile on. We kind of mentioned Tottenham. Micah did about them coming from behind and the depth that they've got. They're a good side to watch now, aren't they? They've gone from being a pretty dour side to watch, obviously with a different style of football with Mourinho and Conte. And now you're getting this kind of almost gung-ho at times, but thoroughly entertaining fare.
Yeah, it's been an amazing transition because, you know, as pundits, as presenters, as people in the media, the first question we asked is how they're going to play. What are they going to show us? Are they going to change anything? And the Spurs fans were always saying, we respect the managers we've had in the past, but we want to play a little bit more attacking football. So respect Conte, Mourinho, whoever's been there before. But now, to be able to change that so quickly, and you've got to give a big respect to the manager, Postecoglou, just because as well, the doubt from a lot of people as well. People said when he comes to the Premier League, he's not going to be able to do what he did or what he did when he was in Japan, when he was at Australia, when he was at Celtic. It's a 2-team league. He said the best he can do is 7th, 8th with his team, but he's showing with the players he's got, with his tactics and the way he sets up, that they can be brave, they can be on the front foot, and they can get results with this style of play. So I think a lot has come from the manager and the players buying into it. It was nice to see Timo Werner score his first goal as well. You see all the players running over to him and just... We said before when he first went there, we don't think he's going to have the same pressure as of when he was at Chelsea. And we feel that, his dynamic runs, he's working hard for the team. But it was nice to see him get a goal as well. I just think Spurs are great to watch. Really.
What's his name, the manager, Micah?
Postecoglou.
Who?
Postecoglou.
That's him.
Postecoglou, no?
Yeah,
what was I
that's
saying?
him, yeah.
Posh.
Harry, John, take this out. I'm not.
No, it's him.
Postecoglou, posh.
Posh. We could call him Posh.
I was speaking and I just seen 2 eyeballs on me. I'm thinking, what have I said
Just
now?
once more, what's his name? Come on, we'll win.
Big Ange.
Big Ange, that's the answer. That's the right.
Postecoglou.
Yes.
Posh Ange.
That's it.
Posh Ange. He's done a brilliant job because he's not.
Recruitment's
it's
been great.
Yeah, and it's hard going to a football club and not just trying to improve results, but have an entirely different way of playing than you've had in previous years. I think it's easy to get the players to buy into playing attractive, attacking, entertaining football, but it's one thing actually saying that, and it's another thing doing that on the pitch without results going the other way. And he's improved the team massively. I think Tottenham's recruitment, and I think it's worth saying because for years I don't think it was that great, but in recent times has been really exceptional. They've brought in a lot of talented players over the last year or two, starting probably with Romero, and then you got Van der Ven and Maddison, obviously. Lots of really good players that they've brought in there, and they've got a genuine chance of getting a Champions League spot, which I think at the start of the season would have surprised us all.
Yeah, they've been brilliant, great to watch. As you said, the players have bought into what he wants to do. They'll all look very comfortable. I said the recruitment's been good, which it has. They've got some really good players. And they've got a great chance of getting Champions League football. Yeah.
Hold on, where did I have Spurs? H, where are you? I'm sure I had Spurs quite high up.
We'll have to do a review of that, just before the end of the season, won't we?
Well, we'll do a review anyway. We'll do it in one of those quiet non-Champions League weeks. Not that there are many quiet weeks in the world of football, but we'll have a little review of where we are. You get some right, and you get a few wrong, Micah.
I've got Burnley massively wrong.
Well, I think we all got them wrong.
Al, shoot, I know you're going to shoot me down here, but I've got to give, again, the game yesterday, they played so well until both boxes. Sloppy defending for one of the goals. And
It's quite an important part of the game, though, isn't it?
Of course, yeah, but I mean, people look at the results and go, oh, Burnley lost again, they're crap. But they're not actually crap. They're not very good at finishing. I'll agree with that. And they give away easy goals.
But apart from that...
So just to be clear, the shit at the back and the shit up front, the most important things that you've got to do. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's why I said he was going to shoot me down. But if you're a stats guy... all the passes, they had something like 196 passes in that first half. It was in the opposing half. It was ridiculous, and you just can't put the ball away. They really can't.
Or they can't defend.
Yeah, and a bit of that.
All right. The really, really important bits in football, like scoring and defending, they can't do. Okay.
Yeah. You've got a point, but...
They haven't got enough points.
They're gone, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're Burnley and Sheffield United, would you say?
Yep. The only chance that those two have got is if deduction of points of other teams, and then they may survive by default. But both of them are terrible. They've been really, really disappointing and really poor.
Yeah. Something to cheer you up, Alan. Newcastle's
Woohoo!
performance. Woohoo.
Yeah, a lot better. Eddie changed his tactics slightly because he was aware of how good Wolves are on the counter-attack. So he sort of did that to them. He reversed it. The Newcastle sat a lot deeper, got the midfield a bit closer to the defence, so there was no space, and then hit them with the pace on the counter-attack. So it was a lot better from Newcastle. Clean sheet, exactly what they needed. So they've given themselves a right good chance now of getting, I don't know, maybe 6th, something like that.
Al, I know we talked about him briefly when we did the FA Cup Newcastle-Blackburn or Blackburn-Newcastle.
Yeah.
Gordon.
Yeah.
He keeps delivering, doesn't he?
I think he's sending a huge message out to Gareth Southgate. He's been absolutely fantastic in a season that's been tough at times. He's the one player I think that has stood out. His energy, his ability to run with the ball, his finishing. He's got goals. So
you think he could sneak into the squad?
I do, yeah. Yeah,
he's got a chance, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's got a right good chance of getting into the squad.
He's slightly different as well, isn't he? He's kind of really goes at players and I suppose on the on that left hand side as well. Rashford's been in and out. Obviously, Grealish has had his issues and his problems with injuries.
Yeah.
This season, not played that much. So, whilst obviously Gareth's got a hell of a pool of players to choose from, which is a nice problem to have. There will actually be one or two really, really top-class forwards missing out, won't there?
Well, another one, Bowen is another one. I mean, he's having a great season
Bowen
as well, playing a lot of his game down the middle, but he's scoring a lot of goals as
Bowen
well.
Could tag in and give you the chance to use him as like utility, possible third striker option after Kane and Watkins, who I think are already there. And then it probably between... What do you think? Him, Tony?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's hard,
Callum Wilson's played enough, has he? He's been injured a lot of the season.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Solanke's another one, possibly, as a third choice.
Interesting. But yeah, Gordon's given himself a right good chance of getting in there.
Yeah, he has. What about Bruno Guimaraes' no-look pass? we spotted it straight away, didn't we? We were watching.
It's cheeky, wasn't it?
A bit of skill before that as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's fine, those things. If I tried that and you'd completely shank it, you'd be so embarrassed, wouldn't you? But
that was great skill, wasn't it? Yeah, very cheeky. Brilliant. Yeah. Great to see.
Look it up if you haven't seen it, anyone listening to this, because it is a bit tasty. I saw it on social media quite a bit yesterday. Yeah. West Ham, while we're on the subject of Bowen, they had it was an odd game. They won, they won 3-1 at Everton, but Everton it's the story of, well, more than just this season, isn't it? Just not being able to finish it off when they get the amount of chances that they do. They had loads, but it's like Micah said, or Alan said about Burnley. It's kind of an important ingredient of the game, isn't it? Finishing it off.
Just a little bit. I mean, they got 2 goals in 90th plus minute. So the keeper was brilliant as well, though, wasn't he? Areola was fantastic, man of the match performance, save after save after save. But it was a great win for West Ham going there and beating them, because tough place, isn't it, Everton?
Yeah.
Especially with what's going on with them. But it's a great win for them.
Anyone else stand out? I know this is a game I missed. I only seen match of the day.
Keeper, really, Micah. It was a keeper.
Areola was amazing.
Oh, well, I know that because I had him in my fantasy.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Did he get lots of points? He didn't keep a clean sheet, though.
No, but he saved the pen, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How many points do you get for that?
Ooh, you get about... Let me go into my...
No, you don't know 6, it off the top of your head.
6,
the king of fantasy.
You get 5 for a penalty save. Correct.
Well, he made a penalty save and he made several others.
He had 3 saves. Well, he had 9 saves, so he got bonus, and he got 3 bonus points. Wow.
God blimey, Harry had him as well, Micah. He's just showing me his team here. I mean, honestly, this fantasy. Did you have Souček in your team?
No.
You should have seen his goal. Have you seen his goal?
No, I didn't. No, yes, I have. Yes, I've seen his goal. Yes, I did, yeah.
Yeah, well, a bit tasty.
Just a bit.
Kind of
Yeah, it was a good goal, wasn't it? He took his shirt off as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Went over to his fans. It was one of those where it was outside of the right foot, wasn't it? And just sort of bent in. You could see it maybe start on the post and then just sort of bent in.
If ever you're going to take your shirt off, you do it when you score a winner in injury time.
Yeah.
You score it of that kind of goal.
Or if Leicester win the league.
Well, yeah, not the championship. Fine, that's going a little bit squeaky bum time now. They lost 3 on the bounce in the league. Been a bit unfortunate.
Are we going to have a little segment on Leicester at any time today? We're not gloating about Leicester today, no?
I wasn't planning to, but I'm still confident. Every team in the championship has a period where things don't go for them. As long as this period doesn't last to the end of the season. Oh God, it's gone. I mean, it looked like we were cruising, and now it's gone a little bit tense, a little bit
squeaky bum time, Gazza.
Squeaky bum time.
Even Philbit's getting a bit nervy. I can hear him.
He is. Look, he's on his back. Look, he's talking about my team. He's having a roll around now on his back. He's going, we're choking. No, we're not. We're just a bit unlucky, I think, really, in recent times. I think we should have a word on Marcus Silva and the job that he's done at Fulham, or doing at Fulham, I should say. You know, at the end of last season, I think a lot of us thought, Mitrovic is gone. He scored so many goals for them last season. How are they going to replace him? They'll probably struggle. I think we all had them down as struggling, but not going down. But they've done better than struggle, haven't they? They're a bit hit and miss. You don't quite know what you're going to get, but that's understandable. I think he's done a really good job though there, and he plays some good football. And Muniz looks like a good addition. I think it's 5 in his last 5. Yes, Philbert agrees. If you heard him in the background,
He's a handful, isn't he? He looks a real handful, you know.
And I know he didn't like it very much on Saturday night, but I pointed out the fact that was given to me, I have to say, by Ian Wright the week before, and he said Muniz looks like Jermaine Genius.
He didn't like that, you know. As soon as you mentioned the gap in his teeth, he was raging.
Well, he doesn't have a gap in his teeth, but I think he's got a slightly Jermaine look, which I thought was a real compliment to Jermaine. But he didn't take it that way.
He didn't know what to say. He was a bit offended.
Oh, he did. He wasn't happy, was he?
He wasn't happy
I'm
at
going
all.
to Google him now. Let me see exactly what he looks like.
Honestly, Righty pointed out the week before. He said, "Look, he looks like JJ," and I went. And there was a shot. He had a close-up. I went, my goodness, there's certainly a resemblance there. If you get the right pitch. Might be seen it, yeah. Is Righty right?
Jermaine after a night out and a couple of days of no sleep.
Yeah, he definitely. I had no intention of actually saying it on. There you go. Look at that. He's holding that camera. If that's not Jermaine, he's Jermaine's brother, isn't it? I had no intention of actually mentioning that on the show, and it just
came out.
It just came out.
He wasn't happy.
JJ's face. It's hilarious.
Oh, did you mention it in the show? Did you?
Yeah, live.
I didn't see that bit.
You'd gone to sleep by then. You'd gone to sleep by then.
How did he react?
Honestly, you should have seen his face, Mikey. I could have looked at him thinking, he is
like,
not happy.
It was like, what? I'm much better looking than him.
Yeah, but then he came back like 30 seconds later and Gary went, without the gap in the teeth.
I'm going to rewind that. That would have hurt his pride as well, because
I don't know why.
Jermaine's chocolate. He loves himself, doesn't he? He's always dressed out to the nines, and he's a good-looking lad, is our Jermaine, isn't he? But wow.
He was hurt.
How's he managed to do what he's doing at Fulham?
Well, he's found a centre forward that works for him. I think he was. Am I right in saying he went to Middlesbrough a year or two ago? He was on loan, I think.
I think you're right.
I think he was at Middlesbrough, on loan. And he looks a real handful. And when they've got someone who can do that up there, then that certainly helps them. Williams having a great season as well, isn't he? He's got them playing some nice football. really good, really entertaining, and they're fine. I think they'll finish around mid-table,
which would be more than acceptable,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
absolutely.
At the start of the
Definitely.
season, you've got Paulinho as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's really good. Harry Wilson's playing some good stuff.
Harry was really good. Scored a good goal at the weekend as well, so he's in good form. Yep.
I just think they've got players within the team that feel as though they have something to prove as well, because you've got Iwobi, who obviously big money. He went to Everton, didn't sort of work out for him. He was at Arsenal, didn't really make not the grade, but the level what was needed. Pereira, who was at Man United, wasn't really the key man there. Harry Wilson, we all know, is a good player. Harrison Reed's a good player. Muniz, who comes into a system who wants to work. Adebayo, who was at Manchester City and felt he should have been given more time. Really good centre-half, but obviously the players in front of you. And he's Castagna, one of your old boys from Leicester, really good fullback. I just think the balance of the team is really good, and they've all got... They're all in good ages and, willing to show people what they can do as well. I think there's got a lot to do with it.
It's that all-important thing, isn't it, a football club? Recruitment.
Yeah.
Who you bring in, whatever your budget is, how well do you spend your money?
Yeah.
It's one of the key things, isn't it, Alan?
Oh, absolutely. It's the most important thing. It's the hardest thing as well, because you've got to find about the player personally. You've got to know his character and all those things, and that's the hardest part of it is recruitment. And absolutely right is that you're gonna. It all depends how he'll do. Is that if you get that right?
You never know what you're going to get with Brighton, do you? I mean, it can either there tend to be goals in their games usually, but you're never quite sure which end they're going to flood into.
Yeah, but he's like. I mean, I get that. There's so many games, and you're in Europe and all of that, but. I mean, the changes that he makes all the time, particularly for the two goalkeepers almost like switch every week. How on earth are you meant to build up a rapport with your defence if you're in one week and you're out another week? I mean, that's his way, but I just don't understand, and I don't get that with Brighton.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of rumours swirling around that he might be Klopp's replacement in the summer.
I think he's got the ability. I think he's a top manager. I agree with Alan. I think there is too many changes at times, and especially goalkeeper. I think that's an important one, especially as a defender. You want that sort of chemistry.
I was just about to say that, Micah. I mean, I get it. If he plays one keeper for the cup games or in Europe or whatever, but then he's switching almost every week with the goalkeepers. As a defender, that can't do your, I don't know, belief or confidence or get to understanding with the goal. It can't be any good for you, can it?
No, it can't be. But he's done it before in the past. I remember when he was in Italy at Sassuolo, and the way they was playing, and he always used to chop and change and come up with really good tactics. Obviously, then went to Shakhtar. Then he got his move to Brighton. He's got something special, but he's a bit like, not Pep in terms of quality, but the way they see the game. They're always trying to forward thinking in terms of what can I do differently tactically. Yeah. And sometimes it can be seen as it's too much, but when it works, it really does work for him. And I think he's got all the attributes to be.
Who were the players that impressed
manager.
you most at Sassuolo, Micah?
Back in Sassuolo, because we had him in the. He got him to Europe, did he?
He did.
Yes!
Good knowledge, though, Micah. Yeah.
Yes. I only know that because there was playing Fiorentina one game, and there was battering Fiorentina. I was like, who is this team? I've never even heard of Sassuolo. And then I was like, this manager must be decent. And I started looking up all the players at the time. Yes.
It worked out. While we're on matters abroad, did you see the remarkable goings-on with Real Madrid?
Yeah.
At Valencia, weren't they? And I think they were 2 down.
Yeah, they were.
And got back to 2-2. And then, if you remember, a week or so ago, we were talking about on the questions episode, we had a question about referees. past and present. And I mentioned Clive Thomas, and I told the story about the 1978 World Cup when Brazil played Sweden, and it was 1-1, and it went into injury time, and Brazil had a corner, and it was taken as the ball was in the air. Clive Thomas, the referee, the Welsh referee, blew the final whistle just before, I think it was Zico, nodded it in, and all hell broke loose because this was exactly the same example as that. Not a corner as such, but just as he's about to cross it, as he makes connection with the ball, the referee blows the whistle. Almost identical circumstances. And of course, Bellingham scores. And the referee says, no, end of the game, 2-2, 1 point each. And then obviously it kind of all got a little bit carried away. Bellingham got sent off. I think he said, you can almost hear it, but you can certainly read his lips. It's a fucking goal. The ball is in the air. What the fuck is that? Which is not the word. I mean, if we get sent off for that kind of language, Alan would be sent off this podcast every single week.
I mean, you can understand his anger, his rage, can't you? But he did blow just before the cross came in. I mean, I don't think he had kicked it. I'm not sure who put the cross in, but you can clearly hear the ref's whistle go before he kicks the ball. What are you meant to do as a ref? Are you meant to say, okay, I'll just wait until this?
I think there's an unwritten rule generally that if a team is in mid-attack and about to cross the ball or about to put someone through, that's kind of an unwritten rule that you don't blow the whistle at that point, common sense wise. But I suppose in terms of the actual laws of the game, of course, when time's up. Yeah. But it was a peculiar time to blow your final whistle just as someone's about to cross the ball.
You can imagine how they feel, can't you? It's like, well, we all saw it. They were raging. I get it. I understand it.
He has a bit of a reputation for this referee about me.
Right.
To be honest, in Spain, he's had a few instances over the years, and that's something I found when I played in Spain, is that some of the referees' personalities were like really big and they're massive egos, and it was more or less all about them. They've had a few of those over the years.
It's a bit like you on this pod, isn't it?
Yeah, but on this pod, I am obviously the boss. So. But it's a good point, Mike. It was a good point. Right, what do we go with the moment of the week? Do we go with the Foden goals? Do we go with the Rashford goal out of the blue, but you end up losing? Probably not. Wissa's overhead kick versus Chelsea. Alan did that was kind of the last bit on Match of the Day. He had 2 goes prior to that, and then eventually got one right.
Foden's goal.
Yeah,
for me.
Foden. I think it was the turning point.
Yeah.
Could be the turning point in the title race, possibly as well.
Foden's
What a goal it was,
wasn't it?
Foden.
What a goal.
We've got to go with Foden.
Great strike.
Okay. The Manchester City ambassador says we go with Foden, so that's what we do. Well, that's it for this week's episode. We'll be back, of course, with our question and answer episode on Wednesday. But for now, goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Have a great week, everyone.